Hello, everyone out there in podcast world. Hope you're having a great day. You're listening to the Service Business Mastery Podcast. I'm your host, Tersh Blissett. Today, we have an awesome guest on a show. Ray and I have been friends for a good long while now, and I'm surprised it hasn't been on the show earlier. But today, we have Ray with Schedule Engine, which is super awesome because although, like I said, Ray and I've been friends for a while, I just recently started using Schedule Engine, and we're still in the onboarding process, but I'm super stoked to share exactly what Schedule Engine does for a contractor and for the end consumer, which is really, it's really cool. I'm lost for words for actually sharing exactly how excited I am to join up with Schedule Engine. And with that being said, welcome to the show, Ray.
Yeah, Tersh, appreciate it. I'm glad to connect virtually, but I miss seeing your nice three-piece suits at the CEO Warrior conferences for sure, man. So I was kind of hoping it might make an appearance today, but I'm liking the Service Emperor polo for sure.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I got to rep the new company brand, so I'm trying to make sure that I wear Service Emperor stuff as much as possible.
If anyone got a Service Emperor branded like three-piece suit, it would be you, brother. So I'm not going to count that out.
That's awesome. So tell us a little bit about Schedule Engine, Service Emperor, Schedule Engine, Schedule Engine, and what it is exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll give like a little spark no background of myself just to paint the picture. So we were just chatting. I'm a Jersey boy. I've spent most of my life here. My father grew up in New York City, right in Manhattan. So I lived in New York for a few years too, and a little quick stint in Philly, but kind of been in the tri-state area, hence my accent and a little bit of the need to talk fast. So I'll try to slow it down today. I noticed we were chatting before. You had Aaron over at XOI on before.
Yep.
Aaron's awesome, good friend of mine. So Aaron has this Tennessee whiskey jersey. We got our pizza and bagels. So either pre or post whiskey, you can soak that up. But Jersey known for our pizza and our bagels. So I grew up in Jersey. First gig was at Carrier on the OEM side, actually. And I couldn't have picked a better way to kind of cut my teeth in the industry.
Cool. So
as a technical sales engineer, which is a mouthful alone, really what I was doing was one, I actually had to learn the refrigeration cycle, DX, chilled water systems, which forced me to really understand the products, what contractors are installing. So that was pretty cool, actually. And from there, working with mechanical engineering, plumbing, MEP engineers to actually spec equipment on one hand, but the other hand, majority of my job was just spending time with contractors in the field. So, more on the commercial side, if anything, but bidding jobs, design build applications where, dude, if I took a measurement wrong and ordered it, that's on me. There's no one coming to save me, right? Like it's a tape measure, me and the contractor. And likewise, literally walking school districts, counting fan coils, measuring outside air dampers. So it was a pretty cool experience. While I was doing that, I went back to school at night to study business, consumer psychology, consumer trends type of thing, technology. And that's where I actually met Austin Haller. So Austin Haller, CEO and founder of Schedule Engine. Haller, last name Haller Enterprises. So Austin was a good friend. He's also second gen of Haller Enterprises, which is a pretty large contractor that his father started 40 years ago. So all things considered, that's kind of how I ended up at Schedule Engine. And I think some of those industry origins are important. Austin Haller, Eddie McFarland, kind of the two co-founders, really piggybacked it. And the easiest and simplest way to explain Schedule Engine is what we're trying to do, help contractors like Service Emperor and anyone else in the nation modernize your customer experience. And if I take it like a step further, Tersh, if we're all honest with ourselves, like back in the day, 10, 15 years ago, you did a good job, you had a catchy jingle, like that customer was going to call you back, right?
Yeah.
And today it's a different game because we're addicted to our smartphones and we're allowed to be lazy because every other experience is this online convenient thing. So point being, like the way our customers schedule appointments with us hasn't changed much in the past 10 to 15 years. And a few things can happen. One, we can modernize ourselves, which is what Schedule Engine sets out to do. But let's learn from history. If you don't, we don't. One, competitor's going to do it first, or two, the market's going to do it to you. So Schedule Engine, helping contractors modernize customer experience through online booking, 24 web chat, after hours voice solutions, and some newer virtual tech services that I'm sure we'll chat about today.
Oh yeah, that's one of the things that I'm most stoked about is the virtual chat and the tech, being able to offer a little bit of tech support virtually. And so that's especially with this distancing ourselves and the no touch experience. And you've released this product at the exact right time, I believe, because people might not necessarily want you in the home, and it might be a simple fix, like especially if it's plumbing and it's like underneath the kitchen sink and you got a guy that can virtually walk somebody through this diagnosis. And that's, I guess that's not your major portion of Schedule Engine. So let's dive into that first, and because I want to save the it's all good, but I want to save the real good stuff for towards the end.
Yeah, it's your show, brother. But the what's interesting, so the virtual, the way we refer to it is it's like virtual expert technician service and support. And what I mean by that is like a year ago, and we've had a few select contractors like Haller that have been offering this, pre-coronavirus, pre-COVID, pre-contactless. And for the majority of the market, it was a pretty counterintuitive concept, right? Why do I want to keep my technicians out of the home? And look, we totally get it. There's always going to be value and merit, if properly trained, for a technician to capture model serial number, asset utilization, create relationships, shake hands when we can with the homeowner, and identify anything else they can help with, right? There's always value to a technician being in the home. I'm not here to dispute that. What we're here to talk about is, one, with coronavirus, we had a skilled labor shortage prior. And what did coronavirus do, man? It just kind of strangle-held that further. And now not all our techs are working, and not every homeowner wants us in the home.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I mean, how hot's it in Savannah right now?
Oh, thankfully it's only in the upper 80s, because the last couple of weeks has been upper 90s. So it's been wild.
So when it gets hot, what happens, right? There's a reason we don't schedule PMs in peak season.
Absolutely.
We're trying to keep our technicians on the highest value work possible in the field, right? Break fix, no heat, no cool situation. So I say all of that to point out what we have is a skilled labor shortage and demand increases in the summer, plus coronavirus happening right now. While I'm sure you'd love, 5 skilled technicians to walk into Service Emperor, skilled quality technicians to walk in and say, hey, coach, put us in. That doesn't always happen. So the problem contractors have is, how can I keep my guys and girls, my techs in the field, but also offer this kind of newer virtual experience and keep my brand promise to serve every customer? So at Schedule Engine, we'll talk about our web chat service. A year ago, we started hiring CSRs, industry trained, to properly represent your brand, so your own team doesn't have to worry about responding to chats. And we take that a step further with this virtual expert tech support. So we've been hiring technicians, not just people that, most of them are NATE certified, but not just people that are legitimately skilled, but that also have the skill set to talk customers over the phone and over FaceTime. And what we're trying to do is say, hey, we're working with Service Emperor, and your guys and girls can only get to a certain number of jobs each day. Yep. And your job is to maximize their efficiency, keep them on higher value work. We almost want to be a triage for you. So however appointments are coming in over the phone, through chat, online, if we can use data and say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, based on that issue description, we're more than happy to get you booked, but we think we might be able to even help you resolve that remotely. Would you be interested in actually chatting with an expert technician? And that's actually a Schedule Engine service, so you don't need to take your tech out of the field. 2 things happen, right? One, it was a battery replacement, something under the sink, or a kill switch, and maybe you don't have the horsepower or the bandwidth to take them from another job and send them over. So we're going to resolve that. And technicians, no one wants to charge, somebody 80, 90 bucks just to replace batteries. They want to be heroes. They don't want to be seen like that. And number 2, if it's not a nuisance issue that we can resolve, we're actually collecting all that information, giving it back to the contractor, and over 80% of those jobs are being knocked out in a one-trip completion. So 2 things happen. We either resolve it and they're going to call you back next time, or 2, we're helping you be more efficient.
Yeah, I really like that. And so can you explain 2 things? First, the pricing structure the pricing structures that you've seen most successful with this? And then the second thing is, whenever we go out there and say it's a clogged drain line and it's a float switch that's tripped, majority of the times we transition that conversation into, you really need to have a maintenance performed on the system. Does that conversation go that way also whenever the remote technician is the one having that conversation with the homeowner?
Yeah. So what we'll get back to after we come out of this little rabbit hole is this virtual tech support is one aspect of the entire schedule engine offering.
Yeah,
And
totally.
during our schedule engine onboarding is, you're going through, we're learning your business, your trades, your zip codes. So part of that would be, how do you want us to represent your brand? And what we're trying to do as an expert tech is, we're not trying to turn the homeowner into a tech and have them go into refrigeration or mess with wiring
Right.
diagrams or do, or replace the experience your own employee can do. But we're just really trying to focus on weeding out and triaging some of those calls, so we can absolutely plug, maintenance things if so. But for the most part, if we determine it's not one of those eligible nuisance calls, we don't want to kind of get into too many gray areas, keep your technicians out of the home. So we've done a pretty good job at sticking to our script and understanding, hey, if this is in the wheelhouse of a nuisance call that Service Emperor would like us to try to assist with remotely and solve, we're happy to do so. If not, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, this has been great. We've actually captured a lot of information. Hopefully this allows us to be more efficient and eliminate any unnecessary return trips next time. But we're going to get all this information over to a technician, get your dispatch taken care of, and make sure your tech can come in the home and really do their job to upsell maintenance and some of those other things.
So with that being said, how does the pricing structure work, and are the ones that you've seen the most successful?
Yeah. So as a company ourselves, schedule engine,
Hmm.
there's so many models out there. When we think about like Service Emperor. So our normal subscription I'll get to, we charge you a flat rate, which we hear contractors love. But anytime you're rolling out a new technology, it's tough. You wonder, okay, do I try to bake that into a subscription? Do I try to make it transactional? Do I try to bake it use? So there's all these different models. And where we've had a lot of success and contractors said is, we just charge per session. So let's say schedule engine says, okay, anytime a homeowner is going to elect to do a remote expert sesh with Service Emperor, $35, give or take.
Yeah.
What you can then do, we see contractors actually do a few different things. So at Service Emperor, you can do one thing and say, I'm just going to cover that cost and blanket 35 to any homeowner, and you kind of net out. What Haller actually does, so Haller, for maintenance club members, it's an incentive for them to join. So they have access to remote expert technicians, right? Another value add to increase our maintenance club memberships. And for non-club members, hey, it's $35, but if you're actually interested in a maintenance agreement, what we can do is go ahead and that cost is baked in to your standard monthly payments. And also, to be transparent, we have certain contractors who realize that if a normal trip charge is like 79 or $80 and we're charging 35, maybe they meet in the middle, they put some margin on it, offer $50. And like, if I'm a millennial, if I'm a homeowner and I have the option of doing a remote expert tech session for like $50 versus, automatically doing that 79 trip charge every time, we're not seeing much friction in the market. So to your question, Tersh, we charge per session. We charge the contractor per session. And we've seen a few different economic models where you can carry the cost, bake it into a maintenance membership, or even put some margin on it. So
I really like that. Do you happen by chance to know if Haller limits the amount of calls that they can have per maintenance agreement? Because some people,
yeah,
I feel like, might just call in every week.
no, it's funny. I mean, I'm smiling right now. We've been asked that before. Fortunately, knock on wood, we haven't had any of those kind of repeat or serial people taking advantage of it. I will say I can't say if we have anything baked into the fine print, but that's certainly probably one thing we'd want to talk through, is making sure you have some threshold so you don't
Yeah.
have a customer calling you every day and blocking up your virtual tech sessions,
Especially
right?
if they're bored and they're stuck on house arrest for this coronavirus stuff.
I'm sure if we put nothing in place, we could do a separate podcast on virtual, FaceTime stories and stuff that come
Oh
in.
yeah, absolutely. Cool. So let's dive into the main thing, like the bread and butter, the kind of what got Schedule Engine on the map. And if you use a program like Service Titan, which everybody that's listening knows that I used them for years, and they have their web-based scheduling program, which that's one of the things that sold me originally on Service Titan. Why would we transition over to Schedule Engine if we have that platform?
Yeah, great question. So I'll give a quick background, on Schedule Engine, full overview of all the product services, and then I'll really drill down on that piece with Service Titan because they're one of our best integrations. Our CEO and founder Austin is, regularly. I think what's today, Wednesday, talking to our and Vahe tomorrow actually. So I'll certainly hit on Service Titan. But yeah, to start, when we talked, when I briefly explained before. It's 2020 and we need to change the way and adapt and modernize the way our customers book before someone else or the market does it to us. So fundamentally, at the core of any schedule engine solution is going to be online booking. And Aaron, over at XOI, he talked a lot about on your guys' last podcast, the technician, right, being the most important asset. And too often in our industry, technology has been done to the contractor, right? Yeah. Here's the out of the box. You guys figure it out and adapt to us. And what happens? Adoption curves drastically decrease. So coming to bat with Schedule Engine, we said, look, there's over 300 field management systems in North America. And, shout out to Chris and the Rhino team, right? We just partnered with them, but there's a lot of kick-ass digital marketing companies that can build your website and presence.
Yep.
The middle of the funnel where someone comes to your website and they just want to book without a callback, as an industry, we haven't figured it out. So online booking, we built Schedule Engine to exist complementary to and integrate in many cases with the leading field management systems. So as a contractor, there's no change to your people, your process, your systems, which is huge, right? No downtime. We're just allowing your customers a new avenue to book appointments into your dispatching software. So complementary there. And on your website, 2 lines of code we plug in. So we really built it to be seamless to those 2 major pieces that a contractor like Service Emperor uses to run their business. And that's the core of all our solutions. So we probably had that in the market for about a year. And people were like, man, we love Schedule Engine. How can we book more appointments? And we realized for us, the best way to innovate and add more services was to keep going closer to the consumer, right? Online booking is great, but what else do consumers and what else is taken off? Web chat. I'll be the first to admit there's a lot of really awesome web chat services in the industry. It's a little bit more of like a mature product, but there's still shortcomings. And the example I always think of, man, is if it's 10 o'clock at night, you put the kids to bed, the dog's away, and you're finally getting to your personal to-do list and your wife, says, hey, did you get that HVAC unit checked on yet? So when you get to your to-do list, what happens? You might use web chat because you don't really know what to ask for. You don't want to call in. It's after hours. So you start chatting online. And inevitably, you realize you need to book an appointment. What happens? Someone will call you back tomorrow. Those dreaded words. And for the contractor, that's a lead, but your CSRs come in the next morning and ask them how they feel, calling back all your warm leads that came in after hours, right? You're not booking 100% of those. And 2, as a customer, it's like, okay, but I'm still probably going to shop around to see if someone can get that, right? So with Schedule Engine, we realized, okay, if we can come into the chat space, and I'll talk a little bit more about our chat offering, and find a way to actually end that homeowner's journey and let them book a real appointment, that's a pretty cool story. So based on our online booking capabilities that can plug right into your webpage, we can also, through a chat experience, allow customers to book real appointments, and in many cases, integrate them directly into a Service Titan or similar dispatch software. So there's 0 follow-up required, and you won that interaction.
Yeah, I really like that. And the thing that I wish that we had that you couldn't listen to this, you could only watch this, and we could show the actual process of going through the booking, the web booking, because when I first was when I was telling everybody, hey, look, click this link. This is how you'll share, like, this is how you'll schedule a service call. People automatically assumed that it was the contact us page. You'll send an email and then we'll schedule it. And I was like, no. you actually see the availability of our stuff. And this is with the Service Titan, it's pretty generic, but
Mhm.
it's leaps and bounds better than what it was 5 years ago for any CRM or field service management program. But then to go from what was great technology to the schedule engine experience, then now it's like 20 years more advanced, because you're actually going room by room, and you have all this. I mean, the experience is hard for me to describe, but once you see it, it's like, oh yeah, this is crazy, this is next level. And the consumer can add photos before we ever get there, and all this other stuff. Can you kind of lay out that experience and what makes that part of it different also?
Yeah. The first thing I'll say, Tersh, the good news is we still have your call with your customer success manager at Schedule Engine. Shout out to Savannah, who can actually work with you and create a lot of those videos, 20, 30-second clips that you can put on social media, email campaigns to show your customers
Yeah.
this is legitimate online booking. So to your point, it's funny, kind of like a lead always has a loose definition. Online booking has had such a loose definition in our industry.
Yeah.
Too often, we all assume it's that dreaded form fill or contact us form. And it's no fault. Our industry, again, hasn't figured it out. And we
Mhm.
can make it look cool and aesthetic, but I'm a homeowner. I fill that out because I don't want to talk to you. What happens? Triggers an email back. We train our CSR speed to lead, and it's this inevitable game of phone tag. And
Yep.
it's a crappy experience for your CSRs, and it's a crappy experience for the homeowner. So to date, a lot of times when we're calling in the contractor, so we're partnered with ACA, Service Roundtable, Nexstar, Women in HVAC, CEO Warrior, like a lot of these associations. So when we're talking and educating, people are like, no, we got online booking already. And I'm like, well, let's take a look at that. No, that's a contact us form, right? There's should be no reason you need to call that customer back if
I
they just
think
want to
that
book an
I
appointment.
honestly believe that was our first conversation also. I think we were at CEO Warrior, and you're like, well, this is what scheduling does. I'm like, no, that's all right. We have Service Titan, so we're good. We already and so, and
Right?
then after watching your process, and I think that Julie was actually the one that's like, hey, have you checked this out? Like, I was like, yeah, I walked by the booth and stuff, and she's like, no, you need to go over here and look at this stuff. So
Yeah, dude, I remember that because you went into the session and Julie and I were chatting. We were talking about Jesse and the Savannah Bananas, but no, we got into the whole online scheduling deep wormhole. So yeah, phase kind of one, which probably 95, 99% of contractors have today, is a contact us form or form fill. So that is not online booking. Two, a lot of the leading field management systems like Service Titan, a few others are starting to realize we can do better.
mhm.
And what Service Titan offers is the version of the web scheduler where it can create a booking in Titan, much better, aesthetic than the form filler contact us form today. But it's still not like a full, robust online scheduling solution because the homeowner's coming to a calendar and they're picking a time. You still got to call them back, and you really don't know much information. So
Mhm.
the reason that we're working with Service Titan, and we're probably have over 100 Service Titan contractors on Schedule Engine, which is pretty cool, is they got a lot to between, they're a full-blown field management system. So there's a lot for them to work on. And if Schedule Engine can play the part of robust online scheduler, and when a customer starts the process, the easiest way for anyone to visualize who's listening right now is we are training Schedule Engine, an online interface to really follow the same CSR scripting that you train your CSRs to ask over the phone. And when your CSR is saying, hey, what's the problem? Well, visually, we can show a room view, right? Where they can actually click the problem because oftentimes it's hard to explain. And we can add in custom follow-up questions. What's the energy source? How old's the equipment, right? We don't want to play 20 questions and have them
Right.
abandon the flow, but why do we ask these questions over the phone? To get the right tech to the job with the
Mhm.
right parts and hopefully eliminate those unnecessary return trips. So that's the same concept. And then past that brief information capture up front, we actually allow them online. So on a computer, you can attach or drag and drop. But I mean, we all use our smartphones today. So on my
Mhm.
smartphone, if I'm booking online with Service Emperor, tap the plus sign, boom, I could take a photo or video of the HVAC unit, the black box making a funny noise that I'm looking at, and the contractor can see that. So now we got the description, but what can't they do over the phone? Show you online, and they can show you. Go through, we can look up the information, show them a calendar where we communicate and calculate the same capacity or the same windows, whatever you'd commit over the phone. We get to you today, we'll get to you 10 o'clock, right? So we emulate that process. We book the real appointment and we let them add it to their calendar too. We all live off our calendars, help eliminate those unnecessary no-shows, right?
Mm-hmm.
But point being, with that picture and video is so important, Tersh, because one, you actually see what they're walking into. So you can assign the right tech the first time. And past that, if it's service titan, that picture or video will get passed to the technician's mobile version. And most important, man, your tech's not walking in blind. They feel good, they know what they're walking into, and it just makes for such a better experience. So that's a little bit about the online booking.
Do you have some contractors who will take that like request or require ish a picture of the model and serial number, so then you can take that serial number and the age of the equipment, and so then you're sending out, you're not sending out a maintenance tech on a system that's 15 years old. Do you have that experience?
No, I love it, man. Yeah. So what we can do is throughout that booking process, we can add text, pop-up bubbles to guide the contractor, the homeowner, add checkboxes so that, they have to either agree or they can't just skip over certain things. But when it comes to that picture video, especially on the commercial side, so the majority of our contractors are residential, but we also have a good amount of commercial. And that's where the model serial number can be a lot more important too. So adding text or a checkbox and say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, if you could actually take a photo or video of the model serial number, that'll help. And when you can give them the why, that'll help, reduce any unnecessary return trips. Or I'm paraphrasing, but like, okay, yeah, I don't want to schedule 2 or 3 trips. I'm happy to take 2 seconds to take the photo or video of the nameplate because I understand why, and move through the process that way. So
that's really cool. So, what else is there? I mean, you'll have new stuff coming out all the time. So, what's next? And as far as this process goes along, like how are y'all seeing? Are you seeing an uptick, a downtick with everything going on with the coronavirus and the epidemic or the pandemic that's going on? Like, how is that?
yeah, so I'll hit the last part of your question first, kind of overall volume. So initially going back, and it's hard to believe. So I was joking with my fiance so we live in New York City, and we left in about mid-March to come to the suburbs of Jersey and quarantine. And when I packed, grabbed a pair of pants, a sweatshirt and stuff, and maybe 2 t-shirts. I think I'm wearing my Haller Enterprises t-shirt right now today. But man, like pants and sweatshirts. And now we're in the throes of summer. And I'm like, I need to get my wardrobe in check. But going back to March, we saw initially it was chat volume that actually spiked, which in theory makes sense because people were a little bit skeptical just to book. And what do they want to know? Are you open? Can you service me? And what precautions are you taking? So when our chat service could field those questions, because we're real people, industry trained and up to date on coronavirus protocol, we were able to talk, alleviate all their concerns, and book the appointment. So early on, chat really spiked. And now we're starting to see, thanks to, we're a seasonal business, weather's getting warmer, demand's increasing. A lot of contractors are keeping busy. But when we think about online booking stats across the board, we just pulled this aggregate data in, which is pretty powerful. So initially, yes, online booking is an easier experience. And with our online booking, we can power a web chat service, we can power an after hours, phone service, and we can power this virtual expert tech support service. So the reason those services, chat, after hours phone, and virtual tech support, are differentiated is because it comes back to the online booking capabilities. They're chatting in 24/7. We can book over chat. They're calling in after hours. We're not just taking the information and telling, hey, someone will call you back tomorrow. We can end their journey and book real appointments through these different things. So fast forward, when we look at this aggregate data going back last month, 20 to 30% of total call volume, schedule engine online through these different channels brought in 20 to 30% of total call volume and that call volume requires 0 CSR callback. So not only is that a better, booking experience, attracting, certain demographics, but you're saving a ton of hours where it takes that like 5 to 10 minute phone call. And a human, right? CSR can only talk to one person at a time, especially during busy season. Go ask your CSRs. Imagine if we could offload 20 to 30% of call volume, they'd be like, What are you waiting for, right?
Right.
So just providing alternative booking solutions help offload some of that. So 20 to 30% right there. When we looked at the demographic of who was booking, 30 to 40% were net new customers, right? So during busy season, right, we want the phones to ring off the hook, but what
Yeah.
happens? We can't get to every call.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times during busy season, if you look at customer acquisition, we get a lot of our customers and can project lifetime value because we got them in the door during busy season. So 30 to 40% of bookings, we're seeing net new customers, which is pretty powerful when you think about what your customer acquisition cost is and getting more customers in the door. And lastly, past the 30 to 40% new customers, 40, making sure I got my numbers right, 40 to 50% came in after hours. So
Wow.
today you think about, certainly helping offload CSR hours during the day when people, when people are normally calling in a lot, but after hours, whether I had a late day at work and I'm getting home at 7 o'clock,
Mm-hmm.
like after standard business hours, 40 to 50% of those online bookings are coming in, which today for a lot of contractors are just leads or lost leads that they're never going to get or convert.
Yeah.
So pretty powerful statistics when we look at that and position, 2020 online booking, like what are we waiting for, right?
Yeah. So, do we have to have a CRM or a FSM or anything like that in order for it to work? Because, um, or can we? Do you have a platform that we can just go right into if we're like a smaller company? Because it's great for a one man shop. Also, for that reason, like if you're a service tech full time and you're on the job, you might not be able to answer your cell phone all the time, and rather than sending them the voicemail and hoping they answer, or send them to a call center at like 100% of the time, like you can push people towards chat. And but with that being said, you might be too small for um, some of your larger CRMs that you have the integrations with.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. If you asked me 2 years ago, I would have had a different answer. But what we realized, and I'm stealing Aaron from XOI's 300 field management system statistics hat in North America. I heard that and I was like, I would have guessed 100, but
Yeah.
300 is pretty crazy. So as you know, man, there are so many awesome field management systems in the market. To find a way to integrate with all of them would be near impossible.
Right.
On top of that, probably last year, about 40 to 50% of contractors were still pen and paper, right? So there's a large portion that don't yet have a field management system or dispatching software. So we
Mhm.
actually have, it's our most agile, like economical version of Schedule Engine that can function standalone. So it gives you the same customer experience that can plug into your website, allowing customers to book online, use web chat, or provide after hours answering support. But obviously, in the absence of a field management system, the jobs just flow into a Schedule Engine dashboard, right? To be clear, we are not a field management system. We're not trying to replace that. But if you need somewhere for those jobs to come in and you're still pen and paper, boom, easy to use Schedule Engine dashboard. They flow in, you grab them, whether it's a whiteboard, whatever you're using, get them in there. But yeah, absolutely. Regardless of your dispatching software, we have versions of Schedule Engine that can work for any home services contractor in North America, which is pretty exciting.
Sweet. What else? Did I miss anything?
No, man. So we covered it all, brother. We covered the good old CEO warrior days where we first met, the 3-piece suits. We talked about online booking, which was our go-to-market product. And when you talk about what else are we working on, we've had web chat. Probably it's our since online booking, web chat's kind of our second oldest service. We added on about a year ago. Been seeing a ton of awesome traction there. The after hours phones, a newer service we're offering, which is pretty cool. The virtual expert technicians service. We've been doing this for about a year, but with coronavirus, we've really dedicated development resources to be able to scale that out and offer it. So the last thing I'd say, Tersh, is the way that our kind of pricing and everything works. Online booking powers the experience. So that's the core subscription. We charge a flat rate, unlimited bookings. We don't want to make it any more complicated for the contractor to forecast cost. So it's always online booking. And then any contractor has the luxury of, a la carte, I can add on web chat here. I can add on after hours or the virtual expert tech support. So for anyone listening, a lot of services, and our goal will be continuing to add these innovative services. So whether today your customer's at work and they want to web chat, tomorrow they get home late, they want to call in, like what we need to do is meet every customer where they're at, and it's not a one size fit all. So all of these services will be available to simply add on the schedule engine. So it's not complicated, but that's where we're excited to go. And I think the next big thing that we're going to start to see, which Google's already doing, is going to be some voice action. So voice is somewhere personally I'm really interested in, man. I didn't bring my Amazon Alexa out of my New York City apartment, and I'm still waking up some mornings like, what's the weather? And my fiance's like, who are you talking to? I'm like, apparently myself. But I heard this story, man, and this is it caught me, and I certainly want to share it. So Tersh, I'm sure you heard probably maybe 6 months plus ago how Amazon Alexa and Google Homes were kind of spying on your conversations, right? Remember hearing that whole stink?
Yeah.
So, we'll be at conferences and you hear speakers like, hey, who has a Google Home or Amazon Alexa? And 95% of the room raises their hand. So as I was thinking about that, I forget where I heard it, but we all pretty much have heard the story now that these smart devices probably are spying on us. And if I ask anyone listening, like how many of us know that, like I know that, and how many of us intentionally will go over and plug our Amazon Alexa or Google Home out during the day? We don't, right? It's because we're choosing convenience over our own privacy. And I think that was really powerful for me to understand. And my fundamental belief is convenience will win. And if we're all like, oh my God, Amazon's spying on us, but no one's unplugging their Amazon Alexa, well, let's have a look in the mirror. So I think I'm excited to keep my eye on voice. I know it's something we're paying close attention to at Schedule Engine. And yeah, man, it's technology these days just moves quicker and quicker.
It does. It really does. That's really cool. I appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing everything. And if anybody wants to get in touch with you, learn more about you or Schedule Engine, what's the best way for that to happen?
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's been a blast being on here. You can email me directly, Ray, R-A-Y, at scheduleengine.com, all one word, scheduleengine.com. And I'll even throw my cell phone out if anyone wants to call, text, 717-278-5573. But go to scheduleengine.com. We are redoing our website, so I'll preface that. But shoot me an email, add me on LinkedIn, drop me a message, however you want to get in touch with me. Schedule Engine or not, love talking to people in the industry, like-minded and who are thinking about customer experience. So
cool, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate you, brother. I'm excited for our next conversation and looking forward to hopefully seeing you in person soon, man.
Yeah, hopefully it won't be too much longer. All right, buddy. Yeah. We'll talk again soon.
All right. Take later, man. Bye.
All right, bye.